I mean, it's good for the audience that's coming to get to see this type of work because they get to be a part of whatever the next production of this is. So I guess for you watching,
you're part of the process.
Yeah, I could just stress that fact that coming to see the show allows your input to be a part of this, and I mean, it is definitely intriguing to get to play that type of role. I mean, everybody I've talked to said, "Oh, I'm working on a play where the writer wrote this for me." They're like, "Wow, that doesn't happen very often in the career," and actors get that every now and then, but a lot don't.
Have you ever had anything like that? Had a writer ever written something specifically for you for a play?
Yes.
Cool.
But
I'm not special. you're an old hand at this process.
But I've actually never had a writer that was so open to, after writing what I asked, to even go dig deeper and to rewrite the final product and to explore every kind of second of what's going on in these characters' lives. And that's what I really appreciate, is the openness of this production. I mean, with the director, with, you know, writing and producing, you guys have been so open to our ideas, which rarely happens.
It has been remarkably collaborative.
Yeah.
And you especially kind of get kudos to that you've been so willing to let us kind of shape your piece.
For writers, it's like, if you have a really great line, or you have a really great action in a play that you wrote and you love it and it just works, and you know, it's one of those lines you're like, yes, I could see this like in a trailer of a movie, this line would be in the trailer, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work with the story, it slows pacing down or whatnot. You gotta get rid of it, you gotta cut it, you gotta put it in a drawer for another day. And some writers really don't like doing it. They really do, because you feel it comes out of you. You know, from where we can't all say. I know I certainly can't say from where some of these lines come from. But, you know, you do feel a certain protective instinct over them. That, you know, you want to protect those things. You want to make sure no one misinterprets it. A lot of writers get very territorial with it. I've done enough rewriting to understand that, no, the writer can get in the way of a production as much as anyone else to keep it from getting it to where it needs to be. And I remember, I think I might have been the second table read. I'm not sure if you were there for this one, but I made it a point. I wanted to let all of you know that you can have as large a part in the collaborative process as I wanted. That's what I hoped. You know, I always feel like we're all one part of a giant puzzle, but each person brings a different piece. You know, it's not for me to know everything. It's not even for the director to know everything. Everybody brings something to it that when you fuse it all together, that's what creates a strong piece.
And it's that collaborative effort that makes this a special endeavor. Because that doesn't often happen. Often you get directors or writers who are very attached to what their ideas are and don't allow the collaborative process to incorporate the actors or to incorporate one another, as far as the director-writer goes, to incorporate one another into that process. So it's special to get to work on stuff like that.
I really feel like this is a true ensemble in a lot of ways, you know. I mean, and if you guys had great lines, I always said put them in. You know, I haven't stopped you. Makes my job easier. But let's give the folks out there a quick little rundown on who you guys are playing. So, Molly, would you like to talk about the character written for you?
I am playing Michelle. She's a good girl, which I don't often get to play.
What do you usually play?
Not so good girls. Evil, backstabbing. Anyway, that's not this production.
No, not at all.
Michelle is kind of right off the bus in New York City and has some secrets that she doesn't really like to share. And in the process of this play, you find out why she is the way that she is. And she's a very strong character that I don't think she often comes off as until you really find out her story. I'm really, really looking forward to playing her, and it's going to be great.
What about the character really, you know, do you feel like when you read it, you said, yes, this is for me? You know?
I think what I like most about Michelle is she really tries to always look on the bright side of things, and no matter what happens to her, and then she has some tragedies in her life, she kind of, you know, packs her bags and marches forward, and that's very honorable. And it's what I love most about her, is her strength and will to carry on with a smile on her face.
She sure as shit ain't one note.
No.
No, she is not a one-trick pony, is Michelle. That's for darn sure. And what about you, Mr. Evans? Who are you playing?
I'm playing Caleb, and I guess one of the things that most intrigued me about this character is like Michelle, the ability that he has to hide this past and sort of hide this secret or shove it down. And I think what's most interesting about him is this this ability to reject that side, but yet when it's forced out, to let it come. And you don't often see people who embrace their own truth, even if their own truth is violent or disruptive or possibly destructive. You don't often see people embrace that side, but yet Caleb has this ability to embrace that side of himself and yet come back from it. And there's something intriguing about a guy like that, about somebody who can tap into the dark side and yet come back and not get conquered by it.
Right.
Whether it's from outside sources or not. But at the same time, that aspect to him is very, very interesting to me.
And what about you, director? What really? Because I mean, look, if you'd hated the play, this whole thing could have fell apart. So you're here. So what kept you here? Because you put a lot of faith in me to just show you the script.
I
You
did.
You put a lot of faith. You all did. It's very true.
And I was reading this and I was like, oh my god, and explaining it to people, I call it, it's like part Angels in America, part Blasted with a little mammoth thrown in. So, and you're like, you have
That
3.5
should give you an
years.
idea, folks.
It's like, you have 3.5 weeks to do it, go.
You got 4.
But
You got a month.
That's plenty of time.
And I have to admit, the first time I read it, I was just scared. I was just like, and I read it a couple more times, and there is, you called it this sort of like a modern day Greek tragedy, and there is something very, it does have some incredibly tragic aspects of not being able to outrun your destiny, no matter what the outcome of it may be, no matter how good your intention may be. And there is a very interesting dichotomy in terms of finding redemption in the downfall of others in a strange way. That sounds kind of macabre, but or macabre's not the right word, but of a kind of a transferal of guilt, of responsibility, of kind of that which is bad and violent in the world, and finding redemption from that.
So you like the dark stuff?
So well, you know.
Well, you just got done ADing the Pillow Man.
I did. We just finished assistant
Where was it
directing
at
the
again?
Pillow Man at Astoria Performing Arts Center.
Astoria
it just
Performing
closed
Arts.
this past weekend. So I've been
In a year, I
in
won't be able to get her on the phone either. I won't be able to get all 3 of them. That's why we had to do this now. Y'all are
I've been
moving
very lucky to actually be working on 2 different shows with 2 phenomenal casts on 2 very dark plays.
Well, we'll get that romantic comedy after this one, just for a breather.
You should I'll do Little Abner or something.
Absolutely.
But there are so many levels to it. Both very tragic, but also very hopeful. In terms of connecting, and in terms of not, in terms of surviving, and in terms of connecting and not connecting, and that sort of thing. And ultimately, you know, the people in it do find ways to survive. You know, and that. I think that that's something that attracts me to the piece, you know.